Real estate tycoon Donald Trump is set to tour the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas tomorrow. This comes as former Texas Governor Rick Perry and Trump have been engaged in a war of words throughout this campaign. At an event in Washington today, Perry said, quote, Donald Trump's candidacy is a cancer on conservatism, and it must be clearly diagnosed, excised, and discarded. Wow. Governor Perry joins me right now from Capitol Hill. Governor, it's good to see you again, sir.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
All right. Well, Donald Trump is on his way to the border. He's going to Laredo. Do you welcome Mr. Trump going to the border? Do you think that this is helpful for the immigration debate?
Well, he certainly has been very divisive when it comes to rhetoric that he's used, casting aspersion to immigrants, not just in the state of Texas, but all across this country. But the bullet that went through John McCain that hit all of the POWs is the one that really set off a lot of Americans, me included. And he owes an apology to all of the men and women who've worn the uniform of this country to hear him say that he didn't like to be around people that have been captured.
But Governor, you don't think that his going down to Texas tomorrow, I mean, you two have been in this war of words on Twitter, which we're going to get to in a moment, but you don't think that him going to Texas tomorrow is a direct shot at you? You don't want to defend the state of Texas? You don't want to say that maybe he's wrong?
I think we're defending the state of Texas, and he'll hear from a lot of Texans, whether it's our Texas Ranger Recon teams, our Parks and Wildlife Wardens, or our Texas National Guard that have been putting themselves in selfless service down there. Here's what I hope Donald Trump learns when he goes to the border, is that it's not the state's responsibility to secure the border with Mexico. That's a federal responsibility. His invectives should be pointed towards Washington, D.C. And the fact is, we need somebody to bring this country together, not this continual divisiveness that we see out of him and the harsh rhetoric. Americans are looking for somebody that's got some solutions and giving us hope that the best years are in front of us. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. I mean, he's welcome to come to Texas and see a state that has led the nation in job creation for the last 7 or 8 years. Matter of fact, since I was governor for 14 years, 1 out of 3 jobs created in America were created in Texas. So,
right.
You know, he's welcome to come to Texas.
Okay.
He's welcome to take a look at things. But the fact is, he needs to be thanking the men and women who have gone to the border to help secure that border when it's been the federal government that's absolutely failed at this. When I looked the president in the eye last summer and I told him, I said, Mr. President, if you don't secure the border, Texas will. And that's when we sent those men and women to that border, and we saw a 74% reduction in the number of apprehensions in that southern region of the border.
I have a lot of things I want to ask you about, Governor, but I do want to ask you one more question about Mr. Trump, and that's the fact that, you know, he put this old picture of the two of you, you know, shaking hands. I mean, he was one of your supporters at one point. Critics would say maybe this is a flip-flop on your part. How do you respond to that?
Well, I will tell you that I've stood up with a lot of people and asked a lot of people for their support before, but what this is really about is getting to see the real Donald Trump. And after I saw the real Donald Trump, I'll be real honest with you, I got some great concerns about what he's doing to conservatism and this very caustic language that we're seeing and dividing this country. Again, we need to be bringing this country together, and I don't see Donald Trump doing that.
Okay. Let's move on to some other topics. Over the weekend, Martin O'Malley, he was booed, Mr. Perry, by a Democratic audience for saying this. Take a listen to this.
Every life matters, and that is why this issue is so important. Black lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter.
Governor, he apologized for that, but should he have apologized for saying that all lives matter?
No, all lives do matter. As a matter of fact, you know, trying to make their lives better is what we ought to be having a conversation about. African Americans in Texas, not only do they live in the state that has the highest high school graduation rate in the country, they also live in a state where they get to keep more of what they work for. We have a state that our criminal justice reform has really impacted in a positive way those individuals' lives. And that's the conversation we ought to be having in this country, and the one that I'm going to be talking about as I go forward in this presidential. Okay,
let's talk about something else that's very near and dear to your heart again, and this is the issue of oil. OPEC, basically, they're on the attack. They seem to be really going after shale oil companies. They've been driving down the price of oil. That kills jobs in Texas. That kills energy jobs. If you were president, how would you deal with OPEC?
Well, hopefully Congress is going to pass a piece of legislation that Joe Barton from Texas is going to be putting in the hopper, or not putting in the hopper, but getting passed here in the fall, that's going to allow for crude to be sold from the United States. I think that's one of the most powerful messages that we can send to OPEC, is that we're going to be out there producing our oil and putting it into the pipeline in the world market. That is as powerful a message to OPEC as we can send. Let's open up and sell U.S. crude on that world market. Open
up the pipeline, open up the spigots, and get more production in this country, certainly. Another
Indeed.
Controversial topic that has been making a lot of news, and I want to get you to weigh in on this as well, the issue of Planned Parenthood. Some very disturbing videos, Governor, have emerged of these top officials from Planned Parenthood basically saying that they're going to be selling baby parts. It's disgusting stuff. I know you're pro-life, I do know that, but would you pull federal funding from Planned Parenthood if you were president right now?
Well, we did that in Texas when I was the governor. We zeroed out the funding for Planned Parenthood in the state of Texas, and I see no difference between that. And as a matter of fact, I think all Americans who have a conscience at all looked at that video and they realize that that's not where they want their federal dollars being spent. I think Democrats and Republicans alike, they see that that's abhorrent, and we shouldn't be spending federal dollars on Planned Parenthood.
Okay. Before I let you go, one key question. This is breaking news, sir. Does Donald Trump have your cell phone number?
I have no idea whether he does or not.
I'd be careful. I would just be aware. Ask Mr. Graham about that.
You know, he and I are going to be on a debate stage here on the 6th of August, and that's when I think Americans want to see a debate about the solutions that are challenging this country. They're not interested in this reality television, and I'm going to try to stay really focused on being positive, being optimistic about the future of this country, but also pointing out when people are being, well, let's just say, not being realistic about the solutions that Americans are going to want.
Governor Perry, we are looking forward to seeing you on the stage, and certainly, again, that debate going to be right here on Fox, and we will see you then, and hopefully we'll see you before then. Come back anytime to Fox
Indeed.
Business.
Thank you
Always
very
great
much.
to talk to you, sir.